Alright guys, how's it going? So you might be wondering what happened. All of our one listener, this might actually be our worst episode yet, and that's saying a lot. Um, Basically what happened was we recorded like a full hour plus episode, but because my computer was broken essentially, Randy was tasked with recording it, and because he fucked up and screwed up the Audacity recording, basically we only got 15 minutes of that episode. So if you were listening to this, you probably have got up to the point where the group gets to a treasure chest, not a treasure chest, a pile of coins. So I'm going to attempt to recap to you everything that happened. Unfortunately, we missed that dialogue. I don't think we missed too many references. I think most of the stuff was at the beginning anyway. But basically, what happened was, he stabbed it. He stabbed the pile of coins with a sword. A bunch of spores came out of it. He made a saving throw. He survived. He made his throw and he survived. Or he passed it, I should say. Then he asked his companions to try to burn the pile. At that point in time, they basically we had a bit of an argument over whether or not he actually had some sort of a fire spell. Then we actually looked at his other spells and realized that he did in fact have a fire spell for Care. So they had to go back to the room and take another nap. Then they came back to the room with the pile of coins, which I believe Myra or Care basically identified as some sort of a mold. But anyway, then Care stood back, and they all stood back, and Care shot it with the fireball from a distance. At that point in time, the explosion actually did still manage to hit them, but they only took minor damage. Everything else was vaporized in the room, basically. Then they searched around, they used a charge from the wand, they found a secret door with a little hinge on it, sort of like in the middle, so they nudged the door around. They sent Care inside on his rope like a dog, with a little light. He took a little U-turn in there, went around, saw like at the end of that hallway a doorway, a door on the left, and then a mirror in the front of him. He looked at the mirror, and at that point in time, he stopped responding and stopped moving. So then the gang pulled him back on the rope. This nudged him awake. He said that when he looked into the mirror, he saw like himself fighting a warrior. So they then smashed the mirror. Then they looked at the door and they saw that it had upon it a bunch of like glyphs and stuff. Okay, so I just pulled up the book. I'll read you the flavor text, since otherwise this will just get lost in the ether. So when they opened the door, it said, a secret door swings on a horizontal pivot in the middle of the slab. By pushing it at either the top or bottom of the secret panel, the opposite end will swing outward. There's enough space to crawl through into the secret passage beyond. In front of the secret door is a dark stain on the floor. I believe they dicked around with that stain for a while, but I don't think there was really anything other than flavor text. Then he said, beyond the secret door, a passage turns to the left. At the end of this narrow hall hangs an ornate mirror in the eastern, and in the other wall on the left there is a door. The door seems to be very heavy, and there are many glyphs carved upon it. In the center of this door is carved an eagle killing a serpent. 2 stone warriors dressed in loincloths and wielding puma masks form the doorposts. Then he looked at an image, an illustration. So then I said, they did the thing with Care. Then Rial identified the glyphs on the door as a story in ancient Olman of a journey to find truth and light, and a failing and imprisonment in the land of the dead. Then they opened the door, and they said, more flavor text. Beyond the door is a wide foyer leading into a circular room. On the south wall of this hall is a jade death mask fixed at chest height. In the center of the chamber is a cross-shaped dais with a set of stairs leading up to it at each of the 4 ends. Between each arm of this dais is a low shelf on which stands various small offerings: silver bracelets, earrings, neck collars, and anklets, piles of coral beads, and silver and jade statuettes. This set of stairs facing the entrance are carved with the heads of many Olman deities. The steps to the north, on one side are blood-stained with this, while the stairs on another are hidden in shadow. Another staircase seems very unusual as it changes colors in the light. Standing at the top of one of the steps is a statue of a warrior, which it was kind of confusing. We then realized that basically the statue is at the same side as the blood-stained part. In the center of the dais rises what appears to be transparent walls of crystal, which enclose an oddly carved stela. So at this point in time, they immediately made their way to the bloodstained steps, and they climbed all the way up. Well, Real walked up, and then he fought the warrior, which I'm going to describe here. Yeah, the petrified warrior became flesh and attacked. Him and Myra fought it. I think Myra took one minor jab, and otherwise they killed him. He wasn't very difficult to kill. Then they suddenly heard a voice saying, in common, "Interlopers, you have trespassed on this, my sacred chapel. For this affront, retribution has already begun, for you are now breathing a toxic gas which will kill you shortly. However, perhaps your actions are not from malice or greed, but just idle curiosity. Therefore you will find the antitoxin upon the stone in the middle of the dais. If you can solve the puzzle to reach it, let the brave lead the way, let the sly cross the portal, and let the wise ward off evil. Choose your path most carefully." So then it continued on. Yada yada yada. It said, you have passed the first test. Perhaps you are not the. It says you have already passed the first test. Perhaps you are not the fools you first seemed, but it will take the best tool of your most clever person to open these crystal walls. Your time is running out. So at this point in time, I think Real might have touched the wall first and found that it was just cool to the touch. At that point in time, they kind of reasoned it out over whether Care or Myra should do something here. Ultimately, they decided that Care would. I think first Real wanted to throw Care through the wall, but he didn't. Then they decided that Care should just try touching it. So he touched it, and they found that the wall kind of dissolved in his hand. Then he basically made a big circle with his hand and opened a door, opened a hole and told everybody to run through. So they all run through, and then it kind of closed up behind them. So then I continued. So once they reached near the stone, they felt very weak. On the stone in front of them was a potion bottle, and carved with a weird sigil. Then they heard the voice speaking again, seeming to come from the stone. It said, "So you have reached my altar, but your time is nearly exhausted, and the antidote is just beyond your reach. Trust your souls to your God, foolish mortals." So at this point in time, they did figure out that Myra should do something. So she grasped her holy symbol and tried praying, and it didn't really do anything. Then I'm pretty sure eventually what they did was she just started kind of walking forward, and then eventually I think I just went ahead and ruled that her holy symbol did touch the glyph, and that dissolved the whatever forces, the force that was protecting them from reaching the potion. Then they took the potion, and somebody drank it. Now I'm trying to remember who drank it. I don't know, we'll figure it out next time. The person with the least hit points drank it. And it cured, I think 1d8 hit points. At that point in time, a Coatl materialized and hissed at them. Oh yeah, actually, I should explain. There wasn't that much dialogue. I think the only thing was Myra saying something like, "I don't think this is the way to the exit," and first of all, he wanted to go back down the stairs, and Myra basically said, "We should be going up and not down." And then when they found this little alcove, Myra said, "I don't think this is the way to the exit," and Care was, I don't know if he said anything or not. But anyway, at this point in time, there wasn't that much dialogue until they got up here so the Coatl materialized and hissed. Then Real did his shtick of "Oh great ancestor, we implore you, blah blah blah." So I think that was the only dialogue you guys missed. So then since it stood there just looking at it, it then smiled and thanked them for freeing it from its long imprisonment. It then pointed out special treasures for each member of the party that solved the parts of the riddle as a reward. It says it has been in prison for a long time. It then gave Myra a balance of harmony, a set of scales which could detect good or evil. It explained that she has to place a coin or gem with the blessed spell cast upon it in the right pan, and then touch the left pan to the item or person being tested. Then it gave Care a mirror of the past, made of platinum. The mirror explained would allow the user to concentrate on a specific item or person, and the mirror would show something of its past for 3 rounds. The mirror may show yada yada pounds. Okay, for 3 rounds. Yada yada. So yeah. So Care then immediately used it to look at the Nereid and saw her swimming around naked. And then we made some sort of a joke about him disappearing into the corner for a few minutes. Anyway, then Rial received a scroll, which said on it, "For you, the greatest gift of all." As soon as he read it, he felt a chill and then a warmth across his back, but he doesn't really know what that did. And I guess he will find out at some point in time if it ever comes up, but that's about it. At that point in time, the Coatl disappeared, and the party walked back down the stairs. They then ignored the mask, which they never bothered to touch or interact with again, walked back out the door, walked back down the hallway, back to the little doggy door, and came back to the room with the gold in it. I mean, the fake pile of gold in it. At that point in time, I think they might have went back to the other room to rest, but I'm not really sure. Back to their same old spot to rest. But that's it. So, unfortunately, usually we have 2 recordings set up so that if one fails, the other one will work. This time I didn't happen to have mine set up just due to the fact that my computer wasn't working, but next time around I should have my computer back. And we're going to see if this party of schmucks can figure out their way out of this puzzle. Out of this dungeon, I mean. Or if they die trying. So that's it for this week. I'm sorry for the shortened version of the episode. But I said I don't think you missed much. All the good dialogues at the beginning anyway. And alright, that's it. I'll see you next week.